Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how I do it, even if you don't care. Okay? Now, we're continuing from where we last left off. We had our entire chassis assembled, so we are now ready to paint it. I like to paint the pieces in small orders. Usually I would paint the tank treads separately by themselves, but since there's no real detail in the chassis area, we're going to paint it all in one sitting. And the reason I do this is I just feel like this way I will make sure I don't miss any detail whatsoever when I'm painting the model, because I think it's really hard, especially like since this gap here is going to be exposed. I want to paint it and make sure the whole thing is painted without, that way you won't see any gray spots when people pick it up to look at it and stuff like that. So we just take your paint color. I'm using black, and you paint the model. Now, one of the things you want to keep in mind when painting is the fact that we washed this model beforehand. And what that does is that allows for the paint to adhere to the plastic better and prevents it from pooling and pulling away from the model and forcing you to put like 6 or 7 coats of paint on the model just to get your first coat done and even. And so paint it all up. Now, like with my other tank, with my 2 super heavies that you've seen, my main color is black. And since basically the entire thing is going to be black, and all the metal pieces in red are going to have a black base coat, I can get away with just painting the entire thing black. Now, normally, I usually spray paint a base coat on with armor paint, or armory paint, I forget what it's called, because it leaves a slight residue aside, like it's a little slightly off black color, so it allows me to know which parts of the tank I've painted with Chaos Black over the parts that have not been painted yet. And I kind of like that because it just makes it easier to paint the tanks, because you just know that everything's getting done. Okay. Also, if you feel like I've kind of been rushing this video a lot lately, I'd like to apologize. I was on vacation a while ago, and all the stress of real life coming back has caused me to get a little bit of a hiccup in my schedule and causing me to feel rushed and everything, so I apologize if I seem to be rushing or trying to get through this and making a poor quality video than I normally do. Hopefully this one is better, and future ones will have improved from this one. So, just gonna paint everything. Now, if you feel like you're taking too long with painting something as plain as a tank, you can opt for getting what Games Workshop calls a tank brush. Games Workshop sells them on their website. You can probably find them everywhere. It's just basically a fancy way of saying a really big brush. And you can paint a lot faster, especially if you're doing like me, like how the whole tank is black. You know, you can get your paint done a lot faster than you would normally, because it's bigger, covers more surface area faster. You know, you could just get a really big brush, or if you really like just using Games Workshop products, you know. I know I used to be like that a lot. I used to just buy Games Workshop brushes and stuff like that. Feel free to go right ahead, or you can just get a really big brush. I tend to use a very small brush, it helps with getting in the nooks and crannies, and I feel with bigger brushes, I tend to leave splotches and really nasty paint bubbles, so I avoid them. But again, you know, that's all personal preference, and you shouldn't do what I'm doing just because it's the way I do it, you know. I find the hardest part of painting tanks is painting the tank treads, which is why I kind of regret not spray painting this first, because then I wouldn't have to actually base coat them by hand, because I hate painting tank treads. But it's wintertime, very cold outside, didn't feel like going outside and spray painting, but starting to warm up a little bit, so maybe I'll go back out maybe I'll do it for the next tank that I do. And I guess we'll talk while we're painting here. Why do I play Imperial Guard? The short answer is I love tanks. Tanks are, I think, one of the neatest things in the game. I just love building. I love playing with them. I love customizing them. So I picked the Imperial Guard because they've got a lot of tanks, and in a 1700 point game, I managed to get 2 infantry platoons with 3 infantry squadrons, so that's 60 guys right there, plus a command squad, plus a tech priest with a bunch of tech servitors that allow him to have a 3+ save on his tank building, I believe. 3 or 4, 3 or 2, I forget which it is. I'm pretty sure it's 3. And with that, I managed to get 8 tanks in the entire army. Yes, when this army is done, it's going to have 3 artillery tanks, 2 chimeras, I count them as tanks because they are armored vehicles, and 3 Lehman Russes. And so that's one of the reasons why I like them, because you can get a lot of tanks into the army and really get like a feel of real vehicle war, which is what I feel lacks in my other armies, which is Eldar, Chaos, and Necrons. Specifically for Chaos, 1,000 Suns, and even with that, you know, it's still, that's a very point-heavy army. But that's why I kind of like, you know, the Imperial Guard are supposed to be alt Anki and everything, and I kind of like that feel that they got going for them. And, well, we are coming to an end of this video, so I'm going to pause here. I'm going to most likely finish painting this off camera because I don't think you really want to watch me just basically, in all extents of purpose, glorifyingly base coating this tank. So I'll finish the rest of the painting off and we'll continue with the next painting color. I promise you I won't do all the painting off camera. So until next time, this is Helios Raven signing off.